Let's first figure out that Elohim, El, Allah, Eloah, all these are names referring to the same God. That is why the names of angels ending in El contain the name of God: Uriel, Michael, Gabriel, Satanael. But the problem is that in the first lines of the Bible, the word Eloah, that is, God, is written as Elohim, that is, gods, in the plural. Let's remember the Bible. Now the earth was formless and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the gods, or Elohim, moved upon the face of the waters. In many other places in the Bible or Torah, the word Elohim is translated as gods, God, angels, or even judges. The fact is that the ancient Jews did not have an idea of an all-encompassing God. And Yahweh was powerful, but not omnipotent. This is indicated by the places in the Bible where God wrestles with Jacob, eats meat with Abraham, or where Adam hides from him in the bushes. Apparently, the Jewish God Yahweh is one of many Elohim, subordinate to the absolute God, the creator and maker of all that exists. The version that the plural of the word Elohim is simply a respectful attitude towards God does not stand up to criticism. After all, Hebrew grammar was formed only in the 7th century AD. All this happened much later than the events described in the Bible. According to one of the theories of scientists, the God Yahweh is just one of the Elohim created by the absolute God. The existence of other gods is also confirmed by the Bible. Yahweh is recognized as the God of Israel, but also if you dig into the Holy Scriptures, you can find many other gods and idols. Do not go into them, and let them not come into you, lest they incline your hearts after their gods. The Bible mentions such gods as Baal, Moloch, Dagon, Astarte, and Astaroth, to whom Yahweh is jealous and himself forbids worshiping them. "You shall have no other gods before me," is written in the book of Exodus. Thus, the plural of God's Elohim written in the Bible is not a mistake at all, but an indication that there were many gods. They are also called archons, the rulers of the world. But they are all created by the one Creator, that is, the absolute mind. And Yahweh is only one of them, and probably now he is one of the strongest, since most of humanity worships him. And now let's go back to ancient Sumer, where mysterious creatures, the Anunnaki, were very popular at one time. Modern conspiracy theories say that a race of lizard-like aliens once flew in from space and have lived among us ever since. The evidence of this theory seems increasingly absurd. However, the term Anunnaki has a very earthly history. It all began in the Middle East between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, the Sumerian-Akkadian civilization existed in these places. It was so long ago that we know about it only from its own texts and archaeological excavations. Not everything is known about it, but we are absolutely sure that it was a well-developed culture at that time. Of course, its bearers were people. They had their own beliefs, which can be judged by the texts on clay tablets. It was there that scientists read the word that they pronounced as Anunnaki. It obviously comes from the name of the god of the sky Anu and means his children. As far as we could understand, the ancient inhabitants of Mesopotamia called the younger gods and spirits of nature and the underworld by this term. There was no special worship of them. People simply believed that every stream or forest had its own soul, which deserved respect. Here we can draw parallels with the ancient Greek dryads and nymphs, or with Western European elves, or with the Ukrainian mavkas, forest spirits, and other evil spirits. Until the second half of the 20th century, no one suspected that the Anunnaki were somehow connected with space or reptiles. These were the usual lesser gods who could have any appearance, but were mostly represented as humans with various animal elements. The basis of the modern myth about them was laid by the Swiss Erich von Däniken. It was this writer who, in his book Chariots of the Gods, gave us the theory of paleocontact, the idea that at some point in the past, aliens arrived on Earth and influenced the development of our civilization. In von Daniken's book, published back in the 1960s, there are no reptilian people or the word Anunnaki, but it became the basis for all subsequent layers of urban legends. In 1976, it was used by another controversial writer, Zecharia Sitchin. He lived in the United States and worked as a journalist and newspaper editor. He independently studied the Akkadian and Sumerian languages and began translating the texts of clay tablets because he decided that professional Orientalists who had studied them before him had misunderstood the ancient texts. In his book, The 12th Planet, Sitchin stated that the Sumerian Akkadian myths should be taken literally. He singled out the concept of Nibiru and explained that it means a planet that has an elongated orbit and approaches the sun every 3,600 years. It is on it that the Anunnaki aliens live, who in his interpretation did not yet have reptilian features. According to Sitchin's ideas, 450,000 years ago, the Anunnaki first visited Earth and interbred with representatives of the Homo erectus species, giving birth to modern people and civilization. They successfully ruled them for several thousand years until they took offense at people and decided to destroy them. Then the author of The 12th Planet begins a not very science fiction with the rescue of people on a submarine and a nuclear war between the Anunnaki. Among other things, it was Sitchin who equated the Anunnaki with the Nephilim giants mentioned in the Bible. If you have heard somewhere that these are the same thing, then know that it was he who came up with this identity. Of course, paleontologists, anthropologists, archaeologists, and Orientalists back in the 1970s reasonably assessed Sitchin's work as unprofessional nonsense. Everything he wrote is no less meaningless from the point of view of astronomy. Even the title, The 12th Planet, refers to the author's assertion that the ancient Sumerians knew exactly 12 planets, the 8 that our modern astronomy recognizes, as well as the Sun, the Moon, Pluto, and of course, Nibiru. There is no explanation why Sitchin did not include Eris, Ceres, and a bunch of ice dwarfs beyond the orbit of Neptune, which are also quite planets, albeit dwarfs, and did not forget only Pluto. Not to mention the fact that the existence of a large body in the Kuiper Belt, whose orbit would allow it to approach the Earth every 3,600 years, is not confirmed by modern observations. The Anunnaki myth was given its modern form in the early 1990s by former football player and sports commentator David Icke. He decided that there was a global conspiracy around them and rethought what Sitchin had written in the spirit of conspiracy theories. It was he who took the idea of a secret conspiracy of reptilian people, which had existed in the circles of global conspiracy seekers since the end of the 19th century, and declared that the Anunnaki were, in fact, the ones who secretly controlled everything. Then his ideas spread across the internet, and they were adopted by conspiracy theorists all over the globe. A significant role in the spread of the Anunnaki myths was played by the hysteria surrounding the end of the world, which was supposed to happen in 2012 according to the Mayan calendar. Of course, the inhabitants of Central America could not have been connected with the Sumerians in any way, but this did not affect the supporters of the theory at that time. Some of them began to claim that it was the arrival of Nibiru that would cause the flood of the Anunnaki. Although they ultimately did not arrive, this did not prevent the spread of conspiracy theories. So we will probably hear about these amazing creatures more than once.